Okay, Elton asked me to step in here for a few minutes. My name is John Azzopardi. A number of you might be familiar with my name from back in 2015. We started this fight. Started an organization, Let Kids Be Kids, in Windsor. And at that time, sorry, trying to get away from the speaker here. At that time, a number of people were stepping up outside of Windsor, protesting against, for those that have been around long enough, Dalton McGuinty. Do you remember our premier back in 2010? Yeah, he started this, and it was Benjamin Levine, who wrote this curriculum that has been pushed on our children. And he went on to be convicted of 3 offenses and was put in prison. So we started a fight back in 15. I felt compelled. I didn't have any children in school at the time. My youngest was in university. And when we were out at one of the rallies at Charles Clark Square, we had 1,000 people. And the media came up and interviewed me and asked me why I was doing this. And I just said, they asked me if I had children in school. And I said, no, I don't. So why are you doing this? Why is it your business? I said, well, it doesn't matter. We're called to work to be our brother's keeper. And so it doesn't matter whether I had children in school. At some point, I was hoping to have grandchildren, but it doesn't matter. Okay? This fight, if we don't fight for the children, they don't have a voice. And that's what I felt compelled to do. And so we were all over the media. We had many people out picketing for well over a year. There's a write-up from 2015, right? And it's just gotten worse. And that was the fear. We had a woman that approached us from the U.S., and she had seen this starting to come down the pipe in California 15 years before that. And so she told us what was going to happen. And this is what we're seeing. The fallout from what she told us was going to happen. She wrote a letter to Kathleen Wynne. She wrote a letter to Sandals, who was our education minister, and on our behalf, and begged them to back off and put it on the back burner for 1 year so that we as parents could have a say in the curriculum. They refused to do that. So obviously it happened. They put it into the system. And then 4 years later, Doug Ford was running and joined the party and met up with him twice. And twice he shook my hand, looked me in my eyes, and said they would drop the sex ed curriculum. Wow. If this is what they call dropping the sex ed curriculum, something is seriously wrong. Because to me, they doubled down. And they're going for the heart and soul of our children, your children, my grandchildren, everybody's children. And so here we are. And I'm grateful that Elton and his...
It ain't me. It's all you guys.
Well,
time out here today.
I was...
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Elton, because I know that it's not just one person. I know when I started that organization, it wasn't me. When I finally succumbed to the call, I had 11 people that surrounded me, and they gave me, and they carried the brunt of the load. But somebody has to be the leader, right? Somebody has to start it, and I don't take any credit, and I'm sure Elton doesn't. It's a calling. I really believe in callings, and it's just taking that step, coming out and taking that step and being brave, because We hear that anybody that steps forward, is going to be dumped on, and that's putting it mildly. But when you get to that aha moment, then you just go, it doesn't matter, because we can't sit here silent anymore. We have to speak up because they're vulnerable, okay? And I look at these children and it breaks my heart, right? We didn't have that growing up, okay? We figured it all out. I have 4 children, I have 3 grandchildren. We figured it out. We don't need anybody to draw anything or show us anything. Let's be honest, right? And they use the notion of protecting them. Well, that's not protecting them. You can protect them. We taught our children how to protect themselves. The do's and the don'ts. But that's not what they're doing. They're using that as the facade to do that. And it's evil. So we need to keep pushing back. I brought a couple of where did my
On the side. On the side.
sorry. Jeremy. Should have got up. Anybody hear of John F. Kennedy? Yeah. I'm sure those of us that, or those, not me, I'm old enough, I remember that day very, very vividly, sadly. But JFK was a president of the United States, for those young children that aren't familiar with them, back in the 60s. And he had a couple of sayings that I want to put out there. Efforts and courage are not enough without purpose and direction. This is back in 1962. A revolution is coming. A revolution which will be peaceful if we are wise enough, compassionate if we care enough, successful if we are fortunate enough, but a revolution which is coming whether we like it or not. We can affect its character, we cannot alter its inevitability. Things do not happen, things are made to happen. Life is never easy. There's work to be done and obligations to be met. Obligations to truth, to justice, and liberty. And lastly, Albert Einstein. This is my favorite. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but those who watch them without doing anything. That's why we're here. Because we can't not do anything. And that's why we need all of you to participate, because it's amazing how many people aren't aware of what's going on. And we know why the media is quashing all this. The only way we can find out is on alternative media, right? Which we're told is, yeah, don't listen to that stuff on YouTube or whatever. But that's where we're at now, right? At least back in 2015, CBC and Global News actually put out some information on it. And that was only 8 years ago. Now, forget it. They won't do that, right? We're non-existent, right? So I want to thank you for being here. And Again, Winston Churchill. I'll say this and then I'm going to close out. Back in World War II, my family comes from a little island of Malta. And it was bombed for 2 years, day and night, because of where it was strategically in Europe. The Americans and the Allies would come in and they repair the ships and put them out back into to go fight the empire, the evil empire. Anyway, well, my mom in 1942 was in a bomb shelter giving birth to my sister, my oldest sister, along with other thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of women all over the world. So my point is that when she came out of that bomb shelter with bombs falling all over the place, she must have thought, this is the end. We can't, what am I doing? I got a newborn child here in my arms. What am I going to do? Well, there's no going back, right? She has that child in her hands like others did. And it looked like it was the end. But we all know how the story ended, right? We won. And we can win this. Okay? But we got to come together. We can't live in fear. Okay? It's hard. Right? But it's worth it. Right? Because we saw how many men and women fought, okay, in World War I, II, and other wars. Okay? This is a different war, but it's a war. I guarantee you, it's a war. And so it's a different war. And so we've got to pick up our socks and we have to fight for these children.
Amen.
Amen. I'm going to close.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. John is a Christian. He's just going to read a quick verse.
I'm just going to close with this. It tells us in Luke 16:30-17. It would be better for you if a millstone were hung around your neck and be thrown into the sea than for you to cause one of these little ones to stumble. I don't know any greater words than that. And I felt that's the best way to close. We're here to protect these innocent children. Please, please put the word out. Let's stand up for our children. Thank you.
Amen.